So how the devil are you?
I'm great. I
Good.
mean, yeah, surprisingly good because I just saw you like a week before this all started,
Yeah.
or like a couple of days before this all started.
So for people who are watching this, this is probably this is about like the second week of March,
Yeah,
And you had a sense that this was really getting really, we'd seen images from Italy, but there was also a lot of people going around saying, oh, it's just a dose of flu, right?
yeah.
So,
Well, also, we were just hearing rumours as well about what would happen here. Like,
yeah,
I remember on the Friday night before the Monday when we had to go into lockdown, someone was going, go and stock up on food. We hear the army's coming to London. It's going to be, military enforced lockdown. I mean, my boyfriend and I raced to the supermarket, and then we were like, this is sort of silly.
yeah,
Let's try and be sort of a bit more reasonable about this. And then of course they said, shops are still going to be open, and stay home. And then I was just starting another project, I think, and I didn't know what to do, whether to take all my stuff home. Alan got me onto this plug-in called Audio Movers, where you can you send them a link, and I'm working away in real time, and you're just on the phone, and they can hear it on their headphones.
oh
And
wow,
we can make live tweaks, basically. So rather than sending mixes back and forth.
that's
So
great.
that's been really fun as well.
That's really cool. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, without getting into the whole kind of like, what's the future sort of thing. I think all this stuff is like really important, and it's like, who knows how long this is going to go on for, but we've got to adapt.
Yep.
And musicians and people who work in music, we should be quite good at doing that. I mean, you have to be quite adaptable anyway.
I think so. I mean, I get asked all the time, like, do you think anything's going to change? And I was sort of like, I mean, things have changed, but I feel like everything's been changing for the last 15 years that I've been in the music industry.
Sure.
With the development of technology, the changes in roles, the changes in expectations and budgets. I feel like we're forever adapting anyway. And also as a producer, part of our job is to problem solve. So
yeah, and you came into the industry when everything was at rock bottom, not like the 90s when there was cash everywhere. It was,
I know.
You came in, yeah. I wanted to ask you because like I'll be straight up. I like the mental side of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was actually I thought yesterday I had like 3 or 4 really bad days.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I don't worry. And I'm not feeling kind of like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. I think it's just, and I've got the golden ticket. I know that I'm where I am at home, but I felt like it was, I had the blues really badly. And it's weird because I was talking to Carly, who's one of my managers, and we were saying what seems to happen is that you can have really good days, but also you can get days when you go right down. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound?
Absolutely. I mean, and again, this was one of the fortunate things about there not being any deadlines. When this all first started, I felt a bit lost. The deadline was gone. There was a little part of me that was kind of like, what's the point? Because and this was all initial before we kind of knew what was going on, or to the extent of what was going on. So I felt very overwhelmed. I couldn't concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the sort of first 3 or 4 weeks, I'd have a day like that every week, where almost I felt sort of inexplicably down.
Yeah.
I was reading a lot of news, watching, a lot of the kind of news briefings, and also reading about everything that was going on in the world, and looking at how people were suffering, not only physically, but emotionally and economically. You know,
Yeah.
I felt like I was in a very fortunate position, and lucky, but there were other people who weren't as fortunate, and I was, you know, what can we do? What can I do? Or, you know, how are these people going to survive? You know, thinking about that, I suppose. And but then, kind of little by little, I mean, even things like the NHS, clapping for the NHS on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
I'd walk outside outside the studio and stand in the car park and wave to people in the street that I've never met or spoke to before, not even seen. And I'd kind of, you know, everyone would smile at each other, and we'd wave, like, actually.
Yeah.
And I would, sort of get a bit emo about it, because I don't know, that sort of sense of.
It's a very emotional thing. We're all, you know, my understanding of the world is we are all connected.
Yeah.
And I really believe this. It doesn't matter how much good fortune you have. And I've been blessed with incredible amounts of good fortune. If other people are suffering and lots of people are suffering and you're bombarded with this, there's a level of suffering as well that you have.
Yeah.
You know, they're really not suffering, but you feel it. And you can, I mean, I know that we're not the kind of people to, you know, I know you, and I'm not the kind of person to wallow in it. But sometimes in these times, it becomes really, really overwhelming. And it's funny, because I also think now you're somebody, I don't know anybody in the music industry who works as hard as you do. Honestly, it's true. You always have and so, you know, for me, this time has been like, it feels like the first time I've slowed down since we went to live in Brazil in 2012. It's like stepping off. I've been on this treadmill, the golden treadmill. It's just like, you know, and it's when you slow down and you don't have all that stuff that takes you away from, you know, as I said to someone last week when I was doing this with Leah, you have to sort the shit comes to the surface. I don't know if that's all the stuff, because you can completely push it back. You keep busy. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, and the moment you slow down, it's like, hello.
Yeah.
Do you remember that little voice?
Yeah, I used to say that being a music producer was a great way to avoid life.
Yeah.
You become so absorbed in or at least I do. I become so absorbed. I mean, it has like 100% of my focus.
Yeah.
And so the moment I stop a project, I completely crash. I don't know what to do with myself. I feel a sense of guilt, loss, separation anxiety. The more I've done it, the more I really sort of nurture the time off that I have, and I don't beat myself up if I need to sleep for a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can sort of switch off the voices. But yeah, of course, God, I've sort of basically finished the project about a week ago, and we were like, let's take 3 days off to kind of live with the mixes. And so I had the Friday off, and I was like, oh, that was a sad day. I felt really blue.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of friends as well who, I mean, you see on Instagram, which is a hell of a thing in itself, that, you know, other people are being incredibly productive. And part of me initially was like, oh, I want to be at home making beats and playing around with gear for myself. But I was fortunate that I was able to, you know, carry on working. It took a lot longer, which meant that if I had sort of days that were blue, myself and the guitarist in the band, he's also an amazing engineer, and he's a very emotional guy as well. And he's you know, started by saying, you know, I'm not kind of coping very well, and he's got a family. He's like, do you mind if we don't chat today? And I'd be like, absolutely. You know, we can't all be on all the time. And I took a couple of days off in the middle of the week, and no, you know, it didn't matter. And just because I wanted to be in good form, and I couldn't understand why why didn't I want to get out of bed that particular day? I mean, I also never have that luxury really either. I mean, if I'm feeling like shit, you've still got to find the energy in yourself to kind of get up and rally the troops and, you know, get some creative juices flowing and make something happen in the studio. And
it's funny. It's like, it's that thing of, I feel like I thought that this would be a great opportunity to, you know, I was supposed to be touring.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, great, I can get on writing the next album, get writing new material. And I so got my ass kicked. You know, I said it, I've got the Moog 1 keyboard over there that I've just bought, ready to get into there. I've got a smattering guitars and stuff like that. And it's really weird, apart from one moment, I haven't wanted to play a thing. And I was kind of, I'm lucky because I've done this long enough to know that what you have to do is that sometimes there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I realized this, I'm not inspired at the moment. I'm not inspired. And I think part of the inspiration comes from assimilating what's going on now. And actually, last night was the first time I can suddenly feel I read something. And I've been struggling to find stuff to read that I really, you know, because I read a lot anyway. I read more probably than I play music in many ways. In fact, I do. And I get a lot of inspiration from reading. And it was only last night I was suddenly like, oh, and I found, you know, this morning with my notebook I bought, you know, I love these moleskin notebooks.
The moleskin notebook, yeah.
I got like 10 of them waiting to be filled. And I got a new one in green. Yeah. And it's sat here for 7 weeks and it's nothing. And today, and I just started to write. So
amazing.
Yeah. But it's thoughts, you know, and I know that that's the start of the process. But I think it's I don't know, there's just
I think it's okay. I mean, I've spoken to friends in the industry. Some are like writing prolifically because they're good at that. They're good sort of self-starters. Others are like, why should I? I've just released a bloody album. You know, why can't I just take some time off? I don't know. Now, isn't it ridiculous that, like, with everything that's going on, to add to everything else that is going on is like this sort of social pressure to achieve.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it took me, it took me about till week 6, till 2 weeks ago to go like, actually slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I'd slowed down, but it was a level of, I was kidding myself. I thought I'd slowed down because of the virus, but in my head, I hadn't slowed down.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much to take on because the future is so uncertain, you know. There's almost certainly we're going to be in the mother of all depressions. You know, if you just join the dots, we've never had anything like that. So the impact of that will be huge, but also the impact of, you know, we're no longer near, you know, the pattern of, you know, the trajectory of say the Spanish flu in 1918, there were 3 waves of it.
Yeah.
You know, we probably will not be done by this, you know. And then you get all the conflicting media coming. I mean, that's one thing that I really try and limit because it's like, it's a shitstorm. And actually, I think I was saying this to someone last week as well. So I'm repeating myself as usual. The older I get, the more I repeat myself. Have you heard this story about, we heard that one yesterday. But the when 9/11 happened, I had a real, because that was obviously the biggest kind of single seismic event in my life, in many of our lifetimes. And I was watching the news on a loop. And as we all were, like this kind of in utter disbelief. I remember we were on tour and they kept on showing on CNN just the 2 towers. It was almost like this kind of nightmare mental loop, you probably remember. And I realized it was making me feel so shit and so depressed. And it was then that I realized about the importance of being your gatekeeper. You know, you have to be really careful about what you watch, what you take in, how you do it. Because if you're very vulnerable, that stuff can take you over the edge. Yeah. And I was in a period when I had to sort my life out. I was depressed and everything. So literally for about 6 years, having been a news junkie and a student of politics and economics, and read The Economist and everything and left-wing stuff, I just cut it off for 6 years, and it made a big difference. And now I kind of, you know, I read it every week, or I read at the end of the day. And I always remember another book I read. There was a great book about Krakatoa, you know, the volcano in east of Java. And they said it took a week. And this came out, I think, about a year after 9/11. It said it took a week for news to filter back to London about what had happened. And by then, the information had sort of bedded down and been digested. Can you imagine if they'd had fucking CNN there? And it would be like, this is the end of the world. And it's sometimes, it's like we need to have things, we just need to, almost like we need to have an editorial. We need to, rather than be caught up in the hysteria of the moment, we need to almost kind of, if you're able to pull yourself back from that, that's quite a Buddhist thing. I think that's one of the things about Buddhism. I always like that kind of not judging a moment for what it is. It's neither good nor bad. It's just, it is. But yeah, I mean, you know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, I think it's really important to be a good gatekeeper and be careful, and because there is so much going on that, you know, that we have to assimilate. And you know, and again, I want to stress, like, you know, you and I are, by the looks of it, you're in a nice situation. I'm in a really nice situation, you know, but there is still a lot. We are all connected. And, you know, in places like London, you feel the vibe, you feel the energy, you feel the despair, you feel the uncertainty. It's kind of tangible.
I know.